I guess I'm not in charge, so okay. And I know they like to keep a pretty tight schedule, so it's 1:07. We'll get started. My name is Tom Anderson. The big letters up on the screen. I am a senior BlackBerry developer evangelist, which is true. I work for BlackBerry. I work for RIM. And despite rumors to the contrary, RIM is not dead. We're growing. We're doing all kinds of amazing new things. Part of what I'm going to talk to you about today is BlackBerry 10 and developing for BlackBerry 10. Basically, I've got 3 days of BlackBerry Jam goodness that I've crammed into a 3-hour presentation that I'm going to deliver in 30 minutes. So I'm going to hit the highlights. There's a lot of stuff in here that we're going to talk on and just kind of mention. But for really more in-depth stuff than I can do in a half hour, I'm upstairs. I'll be upstairs until about 4 o'clock. Come up and see me. Or if any of you happen to be traveling to San Jose or want to travel to San Jose next week, the big BlackBerry Jam conference is in San Jose 25, 26, and 27. I have 5 passes, free passes. So if you can get out there and you want to learn basically the ins and outs of all of BlackBerry 10, that's the place to be. So let's get started. Like I said, I'm going to talk about BlackBerry 10. So I'm going to talk about developing for BlackBerry, and I don't mean BlackBerry, I mean BlackBerry. And if there's any press people here, don't get excited. This isn't a BlackBerry 10 phone. It's a Dev Alpha device. I'll tell you a little bit more about these in a second. Yeah, it's amazing. So one of the things we talk about is myths when it comes to BlackBerry. I already told you that even though we get a lot of interesting press out there, BlackBerry is a very solid, very stable, very financially secure company. The other myth we hear is that BlackBerry developers are leaving in droves. That's not exactly what we've seen. In fact, over the last year, we've seen a number of vendors in our BlackBerry app world, basically our store, increase by 254%. We've seen the number of apps submitted to BlackBerry App World increase by 226%. I think by now I have these numbers memorized, but I still got to look at them. And the BlackBerry Playbook, for those of you who don't know, that's our tablet, the BlackBerry Playbook. Apps for those has increased 240%. 240%. So we're seeing a lot of interest in the BlackBerry platform, particularly as we come out with the Playbook, which is based on the QNX kernel, as is BlackBerry 10. So we just say that's busted. We do our little Mythbusters thing to be able to say that the BlackBerry is a viable platform and we are moving forward. Now, the interesting thing is we currently have about 90,000 applications in the BlackBerry app world. We've reached 3 billion downloads of applications. That's a lot of applications. And if you look at the download numbers, you'll see that the last billion occurred since January 2012. So we're actually seeing an increase in the number of applications that are being downloaded by BlackBerry people. Then what we've kind of found that's kind of interesting is that BlackBerry users have a tendency to download apps more often because they're always looking to become more productive. That's the interesting thing about the BlackBerry ecosystem is we're targeted not necessarily to people who are casual users or people who want to listen to their tunes and rock out. We have people who really want to get things done. So they're looking for applications that help them get things done. They're looking for applications that are going to make their life easier and more efficient. As a company in BlackBerry, we're very committed to BlackBerry 10. We basically rebooted the company. We have an entirely new management structure from the CEO, Thorsten, on down. CEO, CMO, COO, CLO, they're all different. I'm new. I've been there since May as part of my division. Alex Saunders heads up my division. He's been there almost 2 years now. We're very committed to this new platform and to the development community. We took playbooks. When the playbook launched about 1.5 years ago, and we seeded over 20,000 playbooks to developers. In fact, I'm going to seed 2 more tomorrow at the hackathon. So people who are committed to BlackBerry who want to develop, I'll give them a playbook. We've also heard that the emulator doesn't do you any favors for developers. So we created the BlackBerry Dev Alpha. And what is the BlackBerry Dev Alpha? It's the guts of a BlackBerry 10 phone put in a generic case. Basically, as the people back at RIM were like, well, we need to make this thing nice, we need to make it feel. We went to the developers and said, look, as long as we know what the guts are, the developers don't care what it looks like. Get it in their hands, allow them to develop and test their applications on a real device, on the guts of the device. This is not a BlackBerry 10 phone. You will never see this phone outside of the development house, but the guts are the same. We've seeded over 5,000 of these currently, and we'll seed another 5,000 in 2 weeks in San Jose to the developers so that they can develop and test on the actual hardware. And we've done that before the operating system is shipped. The operating system is scheduled to ship first quarter of next year. So we have developers working. In fact, we just opened up what we call the beta zone. So owners of Dev Alpha devices can submit their applications to other developers of Dev Alpha devices. We just opened that up a couple of weeks ago. We already have 600 applications built specifically for BlackBerry 10 that are posted and only can be seen by people who are developing. The interesting thing about that is it's because we're about community. We're about bringing together the developers and the people, what they're working with now, bringing them on the BlackBerry 10. I know. Previously, BlackBerry's like, listen, you do Java, and this is it, and if you want it, you can have it. But we realize that the market's changed, so we're changing with the market. We're open source. Our web works, that we'll talk about in a minute, open source. Go to blackberry.github.com. You can download it. It's basically our packager. You can mess around with it, do what you want with it. All of our products are open source out of blackberry.github.com. Grim's best weapon is their forums. Developers respond to issues posted to other developers. Like I said, I'm new here, been here since May. My entire division, over 100 people, we put together in the last year just to support developers. We come out to events like this. We have BlackBerry Jams. We have Dev Alpha devices. We have forums. We have forums that are hosted by the developers themselves, the people writing the BlackBerry 10 code. Hop out there and answer your questions. We also are launching a program. I guess we just launched it about a week ago, called the BlackBerry Built for BlackBerry program, where we're going to allow you to submit applications that basically meet the BlackBerry standard, are built around the BlackBerry UI flow, which we'll talk about in a minute, that look like a BlackBerry application, that are built on some of our platforms, WebWorks, C++, Air, etc., and get the seal of approval, if you will, for the BlackBerry program. We also believe in this platform. We believe that BlackBerry 10 is going to revolutionize what we're doing. We're not playing catch-up. We're not going to say, oh great, when they come out they can put a BlackBerry 10 device next to another device and compare feature for feature. Because we're changing the paradigm. We believe in this so much that we already know that developers on BlackBerry make more money than developers on any other platform. You don't have to take our word for it. Oh, nice. Dark purple on black. You can really see that. But the Evans Data Corp in September, and I just saw another one. I can't remember. I tweeted it, but I can't remember who it is, who just came out and said the statistics around making money on the platform. 13% of BlackBerry developers make over $100,000 from their BlackBerry app. 13%. That's huge. Absolutely huge. Developers get rewarded. 20% of the developers whose apps receive at least 100 downloads make over $100,000. We see the average monthly for your BlackBerry app is about a little over $3,800 per month per app. That's more than iOS. That's more than Android and more than Windows Phone. So people on BlackBerry make more money than people on iOS.
Quick question: is this based on the paid apps or is it based on advertising?
This is based mostly on. This one is based mostly on paid applications, so paid downloads. Right. The other thing is we guarantee. We are committed to this platform. We believe in this platform, and we guarantee this platform. We guarantee this platform up to $10,000. The other thing we announced just last week is what we call the 10K Developer Commitment Program. We tell you that if you have an application in the BlackBerry 10 store before launch, before first quarter next year, that either is a paid app or in-app payments, that you will make $10,000 on that application the first year. If you don't, we'll cut you a check. So basically we're saying, you get it out there, you put it up, you start selling it, you're going to make $10,000. If you don't, we'll cut you a check. Now there is some fine print associated. One of the fine print is that you got to make at least $1,000 on your own. Right? You got to put some effort into it. And you need to have at least 100 downloads. So it's got to be a reasonable app. But if you make $2,000 in the first year, you get your 100 downloads. It looks like a BlackBerry 10 app. It's built on WebWorks, C++, or Air, one of our other things. And you make $2,000 in the first year, the end of the year, we'll cut you a check for $8,000. Because we know you're going to make that money. So why not? It's like an insurance policy, right? Right now, you come to another platform, you're like, ooh, how much money am I going to make? Well, you know you're going to make at least $10,000 on the BlackBerry platform. We're betting you're going to make that in the first couple of months, but we'll give you a year. So we've got that guarantee. Lots of information about this now on developer.blackberry.com. So, big app world. Lots of faith in us. We've got a lot of commitment behind it. We're putting a lot of resources there. We're a financially stable company. We've got some really interesting things coming down the pipe. So the question becomes, what are these interesting things that are coming down the pipe? Well, fabulous videos, because I don't get internet connection in here. But we do have some videos out on YouTube about the flow and what we can do with the BlackBerry 10. And the interesting thing about BlackBerry 10 is it's all about this flow, what we call flow. So, it's what we call glances and flows. BlackBerry 10 is built on the QNX kernel. The QNX kernel is a real multitasking kernel, which means the applications continue to run in the background. So, we can do things like allow you to get notifications and see what happens. I mean, how many times have you had your phone in your hand and it buzzes, right? And your first thought is, oh, okay, I've been notified. So you're going to click a button. Now, let's see. Did somebody post on my Facebook wall? Was that a tweeter? Was this a tweet for me? Was it email? Right? You got to punch around the applications to find out what it was, right? With BlackBerry 10, since we're a real multitasking operating system, we don't have to do that. We glance. We use a gesture that allows you to push aside the application you're looking at, and right behind it, you'll see the notifications. Whether it was LinkedIn, whether it was Facebook, whether it was email, or an application that you've written. So I can see those notifications. Then, if I continue with that gesture on the right side there, I continue with that gesture, I move into that application. If I bring the gesture back, I pop back to where I am. So instead of having to say, was that an email? So click, no email, face, oh, it's a tweet. Oh, I don't care about that. Back to my app. I go, push, nope, don't care, back. I'm done. It allows me to be able to do that. It allows me to peek. It also thinks for me. This is one of my favorite features. Now, I have to tell you, I have my Dev Alpha, and my Dev Alpha does run BlackBerry 10, and I've been playing around with it. I've been trying to make it my primary phone. So I've been using it, although it doesn't make phone calls, which is a great thing. But for my primary device, for BBMs and emails and things like that. And this keyboard is outstanding. I love this keyboard. Our keyboard does predictive text. Big whoop, right? Everybody does predictive text. But our predictive text is a little different. Because most predictive text, you type a couple letters and it brings up a word. They're based on dictionaries. We don't base ours on a dictionary. We base ours on your materials, your documents, your email, your BBM, your text. We learn how you communicate. And we use that learning. Thank you. I'm at the meeting. We use that learning to bring up the next word. So if I write the exact same characters as you, we're going to see different words because we talk differently. We have different speech patterns. So what happens is those words pop up. And I don't know if you can see this, but not only do they pop up, but they pop up over the keys, not next to the word. You might think, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, the big deal about that is because of the flow and the gestures that we have. If I wanted to type this word here over the C, it's class, I just flick my thumb and that word pops into my information, whatever I'm typing in there. So the next word appears over the next character in that word, because that's where my thumb's going when I'm typing, right? It's not going up to the screen or the top of the keyboard, it's going to that key. And once it's on that key, I flick, it's into my message. So I can type with like 2 or 3 clicks and 4 or 5 flicks and I'm done. Boom, 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 boom. So the keyboard thinks and it adapts. How many times have you hit the T instead of the Y? And you're always like, I got a backspace over there, right? Our keyboard learns where you hit when you hit certain characters, so it'll adjust the hotspots on them. So if you're always hitting the T instead of the Y, so you hit T, backspace Y, T, backspace Y, eventually we're like, okay, we got it. When they're striking at the T, they're actually on the left side of the Y, so we're going to move that hotspot. Not on the screen, but underneath. So you become more productive because you become more accurate, because it adapts to you. It also remembers, and this is why I'm really bummed I can't get internet in here to show you these videos. So you can search for them out on YouTube or pop on up. I have better up there. But we do this thing. You may have seen some commercials for a phone recently out with a goat that steals a sandwich. Have you seen that? They take this little footage, right, and they can go back to any frame they want and say, oh, that's the frame I want, right? Okay. I love that commercial because we got a beat hands down. We haven't come out yet. We have what we call time gain, which allows you to go in and take a look at pictures and change, but not the whole frame. In this case, we're just changing the lady's face. So what we do is we zero in on the faces, we do face recognition, and we allow you to pop up and just move that section of the photo to a different section. So what we've done in this photo, and it's tough to see, is at the very top here, his eyes are open, her eyes are closed. We brought up her face, and we're allowed to change just this part of the picture to where her eyes are open. So we basically haven't gone back in time with everything. We've created a moment that hasn't physically existed by piecing together those two things by simply clicking and moving it around. Again, I'm really sorry I don't have the video, but I can get it upstairs because I have better internet upstairs.
So taking a picture before.
So basically what it does, it takes a little footage, right? It takes a little footage in there, but instead of just going frame by frame backwards, you can select which part of the picture you want to move backwards and forwards.
Okay.
So stitching it together. Right.
Cool.
You're right. So, how do you get to BlackBerry 10? This is one of the great things we've done. We're all about community now. Over 100 people like me around the globe interacting with the community. We're not Java-based anymore. We can now basically pick the road we want. You know, this is actually an interesting thing because it gets developers confused. They'll come up to me and say, wow, this is great. I want to develop for BlackBerry 10. What do I need to do? I said, well, what are you developing? Well, it doesn't matter. I'll learn whatever I need to be able to do, right? Because that's what they're used to, right? They're used to learning C in order to write for iPhone. They're used to learning Java in order to write for Android. They're used to learning new things. And I'm like, well, what are you writing now? It says, oh, well, you know, I'm a C++ guy. Groovy. We got C++. C++ and Air, Cascades, Qt. Oh, well, I'm an HTML5 guy. No problem. We got HTML5. JavaScript. Yeah, but, you know, HTML5 is, you know, kind of, yeah, well, not on our platform. Because we do different things with HTML5 than everybody else. Even if you've got Android. If you've got an Android application out there right now, you can have a BlackBerry Playbook application by the end of the week. And today's Friday. Because we have an Android run, right? Pop on out there, go out to developer.blackberry.com, click on the Android section. There's actually a little place you can upload your APK, and we'll tell you right there whether there's certain things in your APK that won't translate over or not. And if there aren't, you're done. Translate it into a bar file, you upload it, you're ready to go for
Are they eligible for that contest or no? If you wrap an Android app you already have.
Android apps are not eligible for the 10K because they don't have we sandbox them, right? So they're not going to have that flow and that feel.
Okay.
For the 10K program, it's basically everything else but.
Okay.
WebWorks, C++, Qt, and Adobe.
So you would ask for have the native field?
You would have to write the native field on it. Right.
Or you still take advantage of the native core pieces of the app and just some of the flow technology that's
Part of it, yeah. Like the peak where you push it aside, that's built into the operating system. So every application is going to have that out of the box. Right? Yeah.
Are you guys marketing it that you would be able to run the Android app as part of trying to get people to it?
We don't really push the Android apps simply because, how do I put this? We think the other applications will give a better experience for the user. Our Android app emulator is there for people who kind of want to put their foot in the water, right? I've got an Android app. I'd love to see, you know, Tom was out here. He was telling us about all these great numbers with BlackBerry apps. Take it with a grain of salt. Let me see. I've got an Android app. Throw it out there. See what happens. You know, you may get more. All of a sudden you see out there, wow, you know, all I did was port it over. It took me a day, and I got 3 times as many downloads as I did over on the other platform. It's a way for us to get developers onto the platform, but we think the best experience is done through one of the native information. Yeah.
Or Cordova.
Cordova? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we're open. In fact, we've got contributors on the Cordova project. We have contributors on Cordova, jQuery Mobile, and I'm not sure if the contributors on Cincha, but Moran sits on the Cincha stuff. So absolutely, all that stuff works and is viable for the same playbook if you build them for those. Yeah.
What are the obstacles? I mean, what features of Android that may not be easily ported to BlackBerry?
I'm not an Android expert, but what I've been told is that there are some Android features that are just Android specific that don't necessarily have to do with phone operations or UI or that kind of stuff. Those types of things won't come on. So if you've got a pretty intensive game, chances are it's not going to come on. But if you've got a productivity app or something of that nature, most of them come on. Yeah.
Can I access a Bluetooth device on the serial port profile, the serial device essentially, through Bluetooth via HTML5's JavaScript API?
Wow.
Any way to drill that far down?
I've never tried, but we can look up on the WebWorks whether we've got access to the Bluetooth hardware. I know we've got access to the Bluetooth hardware. Whether we can get at the serial port or not is the only question I've got.
Yeah.
So we'd have to look that one up.
Okay.
Yeah. So architecture. For those of you, anybody here are HTML5 developers? HTML5 JavaScript guys? Yeah. So this is cool stuff because I've had people who have web applications, HTML5 JavaScript web applications. I give this little talk, and they call me up or send me mail the next day and say, we took our assets and we ran them through your WebWorks, and now we've got an application because we've got the highest support HTML5 browser out there on the market. Out there on the market because Dolphin is not on the market yet, so it doesn't count. But the interesting thing I want to point out here is this stack over here. The interesting thing about our HTML5 support, 1 minute. Ooh, boy. The interesting thing about our HTML5 support is I got to talk a lot faster now. Is that when you run it through the packager, it puts it into native C++ code. It's not about running in a headless browser. It's about actually compiling. Now that's for BlackBerry 10. On the playbook, we do it into Adobe Air, but it's not about running through an emulator. Like I said, we've got the first place support for the BlackBerry playbook right now, 373 out of 500 at html5.test.com. The BlackBerry 10 devices, 478 out of 500. So we've got the best support for HTML5 and JavaScript that is out there. What can you do with HTML5? Well, you guys know this. Blah, 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 because I've only got like 45 more seconds. BlackBerry WebWorks is... The interesting thing about BlackBerry WebWorks, it's also cross-platform for us. It goes all the way down. So if you want to write in BlackBerry WebWorks, you can also compile for these devices as well. Forward. That's the architecture. How do you get there? Developer.blackberry.com. Actually, that's probably the slide I should pop to. Yeah, see, jQuery, all this. We support all this stuff we bring in. BBUI.js is a way to get the Cascades look and feel on us. This is the slide you want, right? This is where all the information is, right? We've got developer.blackberry.com, devblog.blackberry.com, blackberry.github.com. That's where you can find all the information. Developer.blackberry.com is where you'll download all your packaging tools, your Ripple, your emulators. Devblog.blackberry.com is a place where you can get information about people post blogs, clearly about our developers. I contribute out there. We write about all our information. GitHub, blackberry.github is where you'll find all our open source projects. The BBUI.js, which is a JavaScript library which allows you to mimic the BlackBerry look and feel on HTML5 and JavaScript, is out there as well. And San Jose. If you want to come to San Jose in 2 weeks and get the real version of all this stuff updated for BlackBerry 10, we can show a lot more about BlackBerry 10 in those 2 weeks. It's the 25th through 27th. If you are serious about going, let me know. I got codes for 5 people if they want to go for free. You got to pay extra and all that stuff, but no fee to get in. Okay. All right. Any other questions before I have to turn it over to somebody else? I'm upstairs, right at the top of the stairs. So if you do have other questions, just pop on by.
I didn't see a Java virtual machine of some kind in your...
in the stack? Yeah, well, that's for the Android runtime.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is one.
Yeah.
And what about those legacy Java G2 applications?
Yeah, the only way you can do them is if you want to port them through the Android runtime.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much is it? You selling that device? You selling that to developers?
The Dev Alpha? No, the Dev Alpha is not for sale. The only place you can get it is at BlackBerry Jam. So
No, only BlackBerry.
yeah, if you come to San Jose, well, we also did the world tour. We went to 26 cities. So we've got 5,000 of them we're giving away in 2 weeks to qualified developers. When you log in and register, you sign up. Okay? All right, I have to turn this over.
How many applications are there on the App Store, on the BlackBerry App Store?
We have almost, 90,000 application total in App World. And then we've got 600 that are just for the dev alphas, for the people to play around with.